holding back the future of the majority of the world's children. We rarely question these methods. After 8 years of experimentation and refinement, we have developed a program called ALfA, Accelerating Learning for All. ALfA is 10x faster. Children and adults are becoming both literate and numerate in under 45 days. By design, children use existing materials such as beans, stones, leaves. ALfA does not rely upon unknown sight words. It also does not teach letters and sounds in isolation. Learning to read begins with the identification of known pictures and their corresponding first sounds. Children add sounds to make complete words from the very beginning. They work in pairs and take turns to make new words. We have discovered that the children learn faster this way. Without the need for letter recognition, children save 2 years or more. They get to read some 400 words within the first 15 days of ALfA. An ALfA teacher acts primarily as a galvanizer. For example, they pair up children randomly. They provide clear explanations for the tasks that the children need to perform in their pairs. The program's materials are tailored to paired learning, with small modules that scaffold from simple to complex and that build on prior knowledge of the child. The children are able to generate and solve a far greater number of questions and learn from each other when they're given the agency to co-create their own learning. The outcomes are visible very quickly. We took a group of 5 to 7-year-olds to the Press Club of India in Delhi, where they read that day's newspapers in both Hindi and English. Field results from the ALfA program are documented in a recent book by Harvard Graduate School of Education. In the first randomized controlled trial for government schools, the effect size was 0.23 for grade 3 and a whopping 0.89 for grade 5 just after 40 days. The ALfA app provides free access to the ALfA learning materials. The thin booklets use only 1/10 of the pages found in traditional textbooks and workbooks. ALfA is currently available in 30 languages of the world. Following the launch of ALfA in early 2022, we were invited by the Ministry of Education of India to implement the program last year in 2 low-performing districts of the country. This demonstrates that ALfA can be successful at scale. ALfA's early successes have allowed us to forge partnerships with various organizations globally. This includes All Africa Students Union and the Forum for African Women Educationists, Teachers Without Borders, World Climate School, among others. The ALfA program is expanding its impact through massive open online training, or MOOT, which has been highly effective according to 93% of respondents. We are encouraging countries to participate in a 45 days to FLN challenge. This involves dedicating just 2 periods a day for 45 days to FLN. We conducted the first Global Policy Makers Conclave to discuss system-wide reforms. This approach garnered endorsements from several policymakers. It is essential that we prioritize the promotion and replication of the pedagogy of ALfA on a global scale. Having made a strong start on our journey of 1,000 miles, we now need all hands on deck to ensure that every last child and a vast majority of adults can learn the crucial skills of literacy and numeracy, and we can meet the SDG 4 targets before time.
In using a test that would allow us to see both an intervention, 3 intervention and 6 non-intervention schools with the same proportion of children across these schools in the same cohort of classes, P4 and 5, a change from lower levels of reading, which allowed students in often just being able to break through to few words at the lower level 1 and 2, to actually transferring their competency to level 5 and 6 within that 35-day period. So you see now in the ALfA focused schools, 66% of the children were at about a comprehension level and able to now break through to literacy and reading at that higher level of about a paragraph or a sentence and understanding.
So yeah, my child, she was in the fourth grade when we implemented this. So we have two sections of fourth grade, and again, everything is data. We have to present data to the counties, to the local government, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, which means we're educating children and we are succeeding them academically. So we did that. 45-day pilot program, and we collected data and it was a success. So when we tested kids in April, which is a California standard testing dates, so I think they're called final exams. Yes. We did our interim assessments, then we did the final assessments, and the kids who were actually in the first grade levels, they tend to be in a third grade level within 45 days.
Hello, and a very warm welcome to all of you this afternoon. I'm joining you today here from Lucknow. My name is Tom, and here with me is my colleague Milita. It is so wonderful to have you with us today for this very short, only 2 hours, but a very short and fun interactive session on the ALfA English literacy process. So I've already been checking in the chat, and it's great that we have friends joining us today from Kashmir, from Manipur, from Lucknow, and many other parts around India. I think we may have some people joining us from Africa also. So if you haven't introduced yourself yet, please do share your name and where you're from in the chat box, and also how many years you've been working in education. If you're a teacher or a principal or involved in education in some other way, how many years you've been working in education. So I'm just going to have a quick look through the chat and welcome you by name as well. So Ruhi Sultana from Jammu and Kashmir, Manish Srivastava from Lucknow, Rombati Devi, Spring Blossom, I'm not sure, sorry, it's Dr. Urfana Amin, very warm welcome to you. Naresh Maitai from Manipur, wonderful. Tokchom Shaki, apologies if I'm mispronouncing any names, but it is so wonderful to have you with us today, joining us from around the country, and I think a few people from around the world as well. So before we move on, keep introducing yourselves, and Milita, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Okay, thank you, Tom, for this opportunity. And really, it's wonderful to have you all and hear from you all. And I would love to welcome you all to this training session. And definitely together, we'll be talking about a very innovative way through which we can definitely transform how the children learn. So I'm Milita Haldar, working with Dr. Sunita Gandhi. And very recently, I completed nearly 4 years with Dr. Sunita Gandhi, and really looking forward to this great training session. Please be connected with us on our chats.
Yes, it's great that so many of you are messaging your introductions already. So please do keep doing that. It's going to be quite an interactive session. We're going to ask lots of questions of you. We're also going to respond to your questions. So please keep being active in the chat. And I've got my team here with me who's helping monitor the chat and point out any important messages for me. So let's as we have more people continue joining us, let's start today's session with a virtual, a digital lighting of the lamp, because all of you're working in education, and we know that the lamp of literacy, the light of learning, that's what we're passionate about, is spreading the light of learning. So let's just watch a very short video clip as we virtually light the lamp of literacy. Lovely to have you with us. Thanks for joining us today. And as we saw that lovely little clip, people lighting the lamp of literacy, and all of you are working tirelessly in your different contexts, in Kashmir, in Manipur, in Lucknow, and around the country. You're working tirelessly to spread the light of learning. So that's what this session is all about. It's all about empowering each other, inspiring each other to go even further in our work, to work in more innovative, more creative ways, more effective ways to help our kids learn to read and write. And today our focus is on English. So it's part of a 3-day session. Today we're focusing on English literacy. Tomorrow we'll be looking at numeracy. And on the third day, we'll be looking at some of the ALfA learning processes more generally. You know, what we talk about, the 4 steps of an ALfA classroom, and random pairing, and Tina and Toto puppets. We'll be talking about this on the third day. So we've got 3 action-packed days for you, and we hope you'll join us on all 3 days. With that, I'd like to pull up my PowerPoint, please, and get us underway. So what are we here for, right? What's our purpose here? We believe that in this country, tragically, Milita, I'm sure you are well aware of this, but about half of children in this country in grade 5 cannot read and write in their mother tongue, right? We're not even talking about English here. Half of children in grade 5 in this country cannot read and write in their own mother tongue. And in English literacy, it's even lower, much lower than that. It's more like 25%, I think, who can read English decently in grade 5. So this is unacceptable, for children to be in school for 5 years and to not be able to read and write. It's totally unacceptable. ALfA, Accelerating Learning for All, is a methodology in which we are trying to accelerate learning. We're trying to enable children to learn to read and write much more swiftly and easily. So I'm just trying to move my slide forward, please. Yeah. Okay. So, are we done here? Okay. Okay. Sure. Thank you. Okay, a few technical glitches as always at the start of an event like this, but thanks for your patience with us. So, in ALfA, we describe that literacy can be achieved in just 30 to 45 days, which is really quite remarkable when you think about it. If it normally takes in school 3 or 4 or 5 years, for literacy to be achieved in just 45 days, I don't know, it seems quite unbelievable. What do you think, Milita? Does it, when you first heard about this idea of literacy in 45 days, did it seem possible to you?
I wasn't agreeing to this fact that how could a person or anyone who is not literate could start reading in just 45 days. So to get the pulse of it, I had to try it out with the children as well as the adult women who were there in a slum. And staying in the slums, these were the children or adults who were the non-native speakers of Hindi, because they were basically from other parts of India, to say speaking another language. But when I started, helping them out in this process of learning, within 45 days, I could see children who were, not speaking Hindi in their houses. We were able to read Hindi so fluently, even when we are talking about adult women also. So then I could say with conviction that yes, it can happen within 45 days.
Thanks, Milita. Thanks for your conviction. And I'm sure many of you will have the question in your mind, is that really possible? Well, we are hoping to convince you today. We're going to share some videos. We're going to do a lot of fun activities together, which hopefully will help you see how it's possible. But ultimately, of course, in Hindi, we have the saying, pehle istemal karo, fir vishwas karo, which I think in English would be first use it and then believe it. So we really encourage you, take these books. At the end of today's session, we'll do a short quiz and we'll share the access to the materials with you. And we encourage you, please take this up in your context, give it a try. When you try it out yourself, that's when you'll have faith that it's really possible. My own story is when I started working with Sunita about 6 years ago, I also didn't think this was possible. I was working in slum areas here in Lucknow, and I found out that children who are struggling to learn reading, writing, arithmetic in school, through this methodology, through this paired learning, through these activities, they were learning to read so swiftly in just 1 or 2 months, which was incredible to me. So, but I only had faith once I started trying it out myself. So I really encourage you all, at the end of today's session, you'll get access to the resources. So please give it a try yourself in your own school, or even if not in school, just take one learner. It could be maybe a servant, it could be a neighbor, it could be a relative. Take one learner, teach them how to read using this methodology, and that's how you'll experience its power. So if we go back to the PowerPoint, I just want to share briefly what the ALfA methodology is all about. Thank you, by the way, for your introductions. I really appreciate that. Seeing that people are joining us from Kashmir, yes, from Manipur, and we have from Imphal, yes, wonderful, from Imphal, from Rishikul, UPS, great. And wow, we have Uma Mani from Malaysia. That's maybe our first international guest today. So very warm welcome to you as well, Uma Mani. And can we move forward in the slideshow, please? Can we move forward a couple of slides? Yeah, one more. Yeah. Thank you. So this is ALfA, right? The ALfA, it's a comprehensive package. We're providing these booklets. So you can see in front of me, I've got all of these different languages, these little booklets, very thin, right? Very light, very easy on the psychology. So these are the thin booklets of ALfA, and we'll be looking in detail today inside the ALfA English literacy book. We've also got free online apps. So there's the Literacy Now app. You can see there on screen. If you just go to literacynow.app, if you search that, you can register. It's the same materials, but just in an e-format. We also have teaching materials. So tomorrow we'll be looking at numeracy, and you'll see there we have a lot of hands-on materials because we believe numeracy should really be done in a hands-on way. We're also doing teacher training. That's what today is all about. We've got teacher handbooks, and we've got assessments as well. So it's a comprehensive package. It's not like we're just giving you one thing. We're giving you quite a few different things which work together really beautifully to accelerate the children's learning. Now, if we just go to the next slide, please. Yeah, perfect. One slide back, sorry. If we consider how to implement ALfA, Milita, maybe would you mind sharing about this? Because we've seen, as we've worked with teachers in Uttar Pradesh, in Himachal Pradesh, in Malaysia, around the world, we've seen many different styles of ALfA implementation. We've seen some who do it in an intensive format, some who do it in a standard format, some in a mixed format. Can you explain what are the differences here?
Okay, basically there are certain of the steps, or to say the format is, when an intensive way of ALfA or intensive way of teaching is for 30 days, you are using ALfA to make the children study a particular language. It can be any language that is there, or no, it can be English, it can be any other language, like or in India we have so many other languages like Tamil, Telugu, Bengali. So you can use these, and the children for the whole day are using ALfA. To say, before lunch they are using ALfA to read a particular, or no, they are trying to read a particular language through ALfA process, because that's what differentiate us from the other way of learning process. That's the pedagogy. And the same pedagogy is being again repeated after the lunch. The children are using numeracy to learn with the ALfA way. So for the whole day they are using the ALfA way to learn a particular language or numeracy.
Can I just interrupt? Sorry, Milita. I want to ask the audience as well, even as Milita is describing this, you can also get an idea of it. I would like to hear your thoughts in the chat. What's your guess as to which of these formats would be the most effective? Which of these formats would be most successful in helping children to learn this reading, writing, and basic arithmetic? So I'd love to just hear your comment in the chat. You can just write one word: intensive, standard, or mixed. So as we're waiting for your comments, Milita, just to check I understand, intensive means that ALfA is used for the whole day, right?
Yes.
So it's intensive format. Only in 30 days we're covering the books, but we're spending several hours a day on it.
Yes.
Okay. So can you explain what's this standard format?
Standard format, see, we are doing it for 45 to 60 days. And in this, what is happening is you are giving 1 hour for English. Supposingly you are doing English and numeracy. So 1 hour for English, 1 hour for numeracy. And if you have other subjects that you have to complete the curriculum, like, you have science, you have computers, so you can use, and you are also using ALfA to make them understand the whole process of learning. So why we are basically and mainly emphasizing upon intensive format is that many times it happens why the children struggle in their learning processes. They don't know how to read. They don't know the basics. So because of which, even if you are introducing to them the other or other subjects like science, computers, or any other language, they are not able to focus upon it because they don't know how to read. And reading becomes the basic element when they are trying it out for other subjects. So thereby, we believe when you give these 30 days, children start reading reading fluently, and then when you take it up, it becomes much more effective. But again, if you have certain, if you're following this standard way, you have to do ALfA, or you can do ALfA for 1 hour, that is ALfA language and ALfA numeracy. And in the third and the last is the mixed approach, and it can take several of months when you have other FLN programs also running in your school and found that's apart from the ALfA way of teaching, you may have other ways of teaching FLN, that is foundational literacy and numeracy, then it will take some more time. So intensive is for just 30 days, and after 30 days, you will be seeing some effective results among your children. In standard, you have 45 to 60 days, and after that, you will be seeing some good outcomes from your children. And in mixed, it will take a much more longer span of time.
Okay, thanks, Milita, for that explanation. So I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts in the chat. What do you think? What would be more effective for your children, to work intensively with ALfA, to use this standard format, or to have a mixed format and to use several other FLN programs together along with? So I'm waiting for your thoughts in the chat, please, on which of those you think would be more effective. And I also want to welcome, we've got Elena here, Deputy Inspector of Schools, Zone 1, from Imphal, Sucheta ma'am, Romesh Shori. We have quite a few people from Imphal, from Manipur, so that's wonderful to have you with us. And our thoughts and prayers also for your state. We know it's been a very difficult couple of years for Manipur, so our thoughts and prayers are definitely with you. So yeah, even please do share your thoughts in the chat. Which of these types of programs, intensive, standard, or mixed, which would be most effective in your context? And even as you're thinking about that and sharing your responses, I'm just moving forward to the next slide. On to the next slide, please. So I want to share a couple of results from here in Uttar Pradesh. I know every context is different, but it's very interesting what's been happening lately in UP. So you're probably aware of the Nipun assessment test. It's a test that the UP government does to measure the FLN skills, the literacy and numeracy skills of children in primary schools across UP. And in the most recent NAT, done late 2023, the whole average for UP was 24%, which means that 24% of schools passed this benchmark test and were deemed to be Nipun, which means literate and numerate. Now in Shamli, we've been implementing ALfA in this standard mode of 1 period per day for English, for Hindi, and 1 period per day for maths. And there we found a pretty good result. 36% of schools in Shamli became Nipun. So it's not, the credit goes partially to ALfA, but also obviously to the teachers for their hard work, their excellent efforts. But it was a good result, 36%. But then we were even more amazed in Heloli, which is in Unnao district of UP. There we only had about 30 days, 32 days to be precise. And in intensive mode, the teachers implemented there, which means they spend the whole day, as Milita was explaining, they spend the whole day using this paired activity-based learning of ALfA, which you're about to learn more about today. And remarkably there we found 47% of the schools became Nipun, despite it being only for 30 days that ALfA was implemented. So this was a really impressive result, and hats off to all the hardworking teachers of Hiloli in Unnao. But I just wanted to share this to encourage you that it need not take a long time. I understand as teachers, we often have a big load on us. We have so many curriculum requirements. We have so many extra work, extra burdens, duties on us. But through this pedagogy, through this methodology, your children can learn to read very swiftly. And if you take some time at the start and you give this the focus time that it deserves, then in the long term, this will be a very big dividend for you. Why? Because if your children learn to read, then they can cover their textbook so much more quickly. Milita, we have testimony of so many teachers who shared this with us, right? That they took out 1-2 months at the start to do the ALfA program, and then later they were able to complete their textbook, complete their syllabus so much more quickly and more effectively because their children were able to read. So I'm just having a look at the chat, and please do keep interacting in us through the chat. Okay, so Spring Blossom shared standard format. Okay, great. Okay, great. So yeah, the standard format is also fine. It's also effective, like we saw in Shamli. But we do encourage, if it's possible for you, to really drop other things, create some space in the day, and give it a really concerted effort in the intensive mode. Okay, wonderful. So the next slide, please. The couple of things that we're going to discuss today. We're going to show you a video coming up next of ALfA implementation in schools around the world and experiences of teachers. So we'll be very interested to hear your thoughts on that video. Then we'll be doing some fun we're doing some role plays. We'll be doing some fun hands-on activities. We'll be looking at paired learning, right? Because in ALfA, one of the key parts of ALfA is that children are not working in the whole class context. They're working together in pairs. So we'll be understanding how we make pairs and why we make pairs. We'll be taking a look through the ALfA English book. And at the end today, we've got a fun quiz for you. So please sit the quiz, and then we'll be sharing you the soft copies, the access to these materials, so that you can get started and give it a try immediately. So please do keep putting your thoughts and questions in the live chat. We love to interact with you through that. So let's now go and take a look at this quick video, right? It's about a 7-minute video, but it's very interesting to hear from our partners in the USA and Ghana, who have been, so this ALfA methodology, it started in India, but now it's spread to several different countries around the world. So it's very interesting to hear their experiences and to learn from them. So please do watch the video, and then I would love to hear your comments on it in the chat after.
My name is Ricky Dillon. I am a CEO and a superintendent for Kepler Neighborhood School. We're located in Fresno, California. The kids are the kids, no matter where they reside, what they do, right? The kids are kids. I don't know. One of the idea behind education is that people usually place it on behavior management, just in case, if the kid there's no academic achievement success, they usually have a lot of labels to give it to kids. But ALfA removed those barriers and went to slums and went to different countries and introduced that program, which basically removed those barriers. So I wanted to say that's an amazing. So yes, it was a challenging journey, but not so challenging because we actually saw the impact. We saw the data, we saw the publications in Harvard studies, and we did our own R&D, research and development, and then we said, okay, let's implement. So yeah, my child, she was in the 4th grade when we implemented this. So we have 2 sections of 4th grade, and again, everything is data. We have to present data to the counties, to the local government, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, which means we're educating children and we are succeeding them academically. So we did that 45-day pilot program, and we collected data, and it was a success. So when we tested kids in April, which is a California standard of testing dates, so I think they're called final exams. Yes. So we did our interim assessments, and then we did the final assessments, and the kids who were actually in the 1st grade levels, they tend to be in a 3rd grade level within 45 days. Yes, and then also a lot of those kids, usually when kids are not succeeding academically, they put the certain labels, not that they have any sort of impaired disability, but then there are some that may have cognitive disability. So they usually, what other departments do is they usually label the child, and this is something that they need a separate test setting. So those kids that tested at 1st grade levels, we had mostly kids in 4th grade, and then we went up to do the post-test, which is the annual test. Those are the kids with special education needs actually improved a lot. So when we looked at their scores, I mean, they were the ones, and we didn't provide any sort of special treatment. It's because of how the ALfA is written, and that's how they were able to improve. I mean, I couldn't believe when we saw the data and we saw what ALfA did to our children, especially the special education needs students, because they were among those kids. I was flabbergasted, and it was mind-boggling to see what a 45-day challenge could do with an ALfA. The way, so I wanted to, kind of give kudos to you. The way it's written helps any sort of child who may not be labeled. So it wasn't just the kids who were just behind or anything. I mean, they didn't have any sort of physical disability. It was just a cognitive disability, which we improved drastically. So, and then I took the data back to my board and to the State Department, and then they said, you can introduce that in more grades. So we are really hoping to introduce throughout our school next year.
I'm so impressed with the pedagogy and the methodologies that have been put on the ground in so many of these countries. And we had the bounty of starting this program last year with Sunita and her team working in the southern zone of this area called Suhum Ayen Swano. And we've selected one of the most deprived areas in the eastern region, which is Anum Papapam, which is a small community in those areas. We had tested these for almost a decade using Acer tools in Ghana. So we were familiar with those usages, and we were testing children in English in using a test that would allow us to see both an intervention, 3 intervention and 6 non-intervention schools with the same proportion of children across these schools in the same cohort of classes, P4 and 5, a change from lower levels of reading, which allowed students in often just being able to break through to few words at the lower level 1 and 2 to actually transferring their competency to level 5 and 6 within that 35-day period. So you see now in the ALfA focused schools, 66% of the children were at about a comprehension level and able to now break through to literacy and reading at that higher level of about a paragraph or a sentence and understanding, with some understanding. We added the comprehension ourselves to the ACER test. So it was not only for them to be able to read that sentence or paragraph, but it was also able to understand with meaning. So the outcomes showed that intervention schools had a higher proportion of students at story and comprehension level compared to the non-intervention schools, which we see here in the control group, which were mainly still at level 1 and 2. We introduced a very comprehensive baseline assessment with mixed method approaches of interviews and testing using ACER at the baseline and at P4 levels and at P5 levels 2 months later in August. So the intervention started in May and ended at the end of July because of the school calendar, and we were able to reach those 35 days, but we will continue. So in just looking at the, let's just take a look quickly at the P5 intervention compared to non-intervention, where you see a shift in children's baseline and end-line results, where at the end baseline, a higher proportion were at initial levels of letter recognition, of word recognition, and then by the end of the 35 days, we could see many more children reaching reading comprehension. And so this was quite amazing for us as educationalists. So our conclusions are that the ALfA pilot demonstrated clear improvements in teacher practice and student literacy acquisition, as well as participatory feedback and the ability of children to speak out on issues. We also observed them in classrooms. The program has potential for broader implementation and scalability in Ghana, and particularly in deprived areas. So the Ghana government, I'm sure, will be very excited to see this. The insights, of course, are that it is very student-centered, it accelerates literacy, and we just want to give a big thank you to Devi and Sunita and the team in India for allowing us to be part of this amazing movement towards literacy in Africa and South Asia and the rest of the world.
Wow, well, thank you for joining us for that video. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What did you find most interesting? We heard there from Ricky in the USA. We heard also from Leslie in Ghana about their pilot implementations of ALfA. And it was great to hear their experiences. So I'd love to hear from you. What did you find most interesting in this video? Also, I'd like to hear if any of you who are joining us, I think maybe a couple of teachers here are from UP. So if any of you have implemented ALfA in your classroom, we'd love to hear your experiences also. So as I'm waiting for your responses, Milita, I'd like to hear your thoughts. You helped put together this video. So what did you find most interesting about it?
See, for me, the most interesting part of in this whole video was that how, we always visualize the thing that, USA being a place where, children would be so much doing good, They would be having all the accessibility of so many other things. We, in developing countries, we often visualize these kind of perspectives in our own mind. But we could see that, even what Ricky was mentioning, that children who were in grade 4 were facing this trouble of, reading and writing. So that's what we would say, or I could say from this, is that, FLN is an issue not just concerning a developing country or underdeveloped country, but it's also an issue in, developed countries all over the world. And that is what we need to focus and talk about right now. And this is what she said after that. After the intervention of ALfA in her own classrooms, she could see that how the children, even of grade 3 or grade 2, were able to improve in their learning levels. So the stark difference: grade 4 children are not able to read and write, and grade 2 and grade 3 children are now able to do better after ALfA. So that's what, gives me goosebumps and, always pumps me up to think about positively.
Very interesting, Militha. A good point that even in the US, we think of it as a very developed country, but even there, many children are struggling with these basic skills of reading and writing. I also want to point out, Uma Mani Shanmugam ma'am said that standard format is okay for age 4 to 6. Some students go back earlier page. Okay, it's now Uma Mani man, I think, is from Malaysia, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And she's implementing ALfA in a kindergarten there, so with some young ones. So thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, and please do share your experiences as well. All of you, whoever, if you've implemented ALfA in your context, in your area, we'd love to hear your experience as well. As we just saw in this video, the interesting experiences of Ricky and also Leslie from Ghana. I guess I just want to emphasize from what I saw in this video that ALfA, it's not like it's a different methodology for poor kids and rich kids, or for Indian kids and Western kids. It's the same methodology, the same paired learning, activity-based learning. It's working beautifully across a whole lot of different contexts. I'm using it in my slum. Militha has seen it using in government schools. We've got people using it in private schools with wealthy children. So it's being very powerful across many different contexts. So we really encourage you to try it out in your context as well. So keep posting your thoughts in the chat. And but Militha, I'd like to ask a follow-up question, because we saw in a few of those classroom videos there, and we've understood that paired learning is really very important in the ALfA process. So could I just pull up my slideshow again, and I'd like you to step us through how do you actually make pairs in the ALfA classroom? How do you how do we get the children to sit together in pairs? How do we do it?
Yeah, that's very important element when we are talking about ALfA, and we would be discussing all about it at length in our third day, where we'll be discussing about what are the basic things that, apart from teaching, what are the basic things that we should be introducing in an ALfA classroom. So when we are talking about the ALfA classroom, every child who is in an ALfA classroom has to sit in pair. So thereby we also, as you could see, we both are sitting in pairs, and we are talking to you, and we both are giving us each other a turn to speak. So that's what we are also doing in an ALfA classroom, that the children are sitting in pairs, because the whole book that would be shared with you has been framed in a way that every aspect, starting from literacy to numeracy, has to be done in pair. So thereby, we want the children to sit in pairs. Now, here comes the big billion question, that why, or when we are making children and sitting in pairs, it could be like, a teacher can be tempted to make one child who is a bright student, or we say who is, is good or a bright student, to sit with a child with another child. So this often happens, or the teachers are often lured to do this, that making a purposeful pairing. But this often has a very negative effect upon the children's mindset. and the children do not often speak it up, but it sticks with them as they proceed ahead or as they grow up. So this is what we want to break the system as a whole. So thereby we are talking about a random pairing process. A random pairing process under which every child gets to sit with each and every child of the class, irrespective of who they are, what they are doing, of what background they are coming from, and so forth. So children sit in with each other in a random basis. Now, here comes the question, how should we make them sit in a random way? So it can be in any way how you can make a children sit in the random way. You can have ice cream sticks, like this, and the name of the children written on this ice cream stick, and then you can blindly pick up 2 ice cream sticks and read out the name of the children. And when you read out the name of the children, these 2 children will now sit in pair with each other. And then it can be other way also. There you can find out, or you come up with any other way of making them sit randomly. It can be also that supposingly you have a classroom set of 30 children who are coming to your classroom. So you write the numbers from 1 to 15 twice. 1, 2, 3, 4 twice. 15 digits twice. And then divide it randomly among the children. Wherever they are, you divide it among the children, and as you divide the chits among the children, you can then ask them to find their own number. Supposingly, I have number 2 with me. I have to find my peer in the classroom who is number 2. And then we all sit together. So this is being also represented in our own PPT also.
Okay, that's a really great explanation, Milta. I just want to flag, we had a lovely comment here from Spring Blossom, who shared that paired learning helps to concretize the concept and it's effective for child-to-child learning. Very well said, ma'am. And so I do want to encourage all of you to share, even as Milta is explaining this technique of how to make random pairs, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why we are interested in paired learning. What are the benefits of paired learning, and especially what are the benefits of these random pairings? So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. But as Milta was saying, we have this lovely little animation for you to really show this concept very clearly. So supposing in this class of Milta and mine, we have 12 kids, right? We're going to make the numbers from 1 through to 6. We're going to make them twice. So then we're going to shuffle them up and distribute those chits. So you can see one child got 6, another child got 5, another child got 1, so forth. So I'm going to distribute these chits to all of my children. And then I'll say, okay, when you're ready, get set, go. And now you need to go search around the classroom to find a child with the same number chit that you have. So we'll say, ready, set, go. And the kids will all roam around the classroom silently. You say, okay, no noise allowed, no talking. Just hold your number chit and try to find your another child with the same number. They'll roam around the classroom. They'll find their partner and they'll sit together in that pair for that day. Right? For that day, these 2 are partners. So for example, today, Milit and I are partners. For next day, I'll be a partner with somebody else. So every day we're making fresh pairs, and like Milita shared, it's a random process. It's not like, oh, the strong children should sit together, the weak children should sit together. No, it's not based on ability level. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. What are the benefits of paired learning, right? Why are we doing this paired learning approach instead of a whole class? Because the normal thing in schools, in India at least, is the teacher is just lecturing the whole class. All the children are sitting there and the teacher is lecturing the whole class. So what are the benefits of paired learning? And specifically, what's the benefits of making random pairs? So I am looking forward to your thoughts. Please do share your ideas. Our guests from Manipur, from Kashmir, from Malaysia, from Lucknow, we'd really love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've tried paired learning in your own classroom or just your general ideas. Why paired learning? What's the advantages of it? And why random pairing? So not this question yet, please. Yeah. So Milita, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. while we're waiting for people to respond. Especially, I want to hear your thoughts on, there's a great another methodology called teaching at the right level, right, from Pratham, and that is actually based on making different ability groups. So, having the strong children sit together, having the weak children sit together, and so forth. But this is not doing that. So, what do you think? What is the problem if we use these words like strong or weak? What are some of the problems that can come from that?
See, basically, what happens is when we term any person as weak or good, it has it can have two different effects. A child whom we are terming him or her as weak, that particular child would feel demotivated. In the sense, he would feel like, I am weak, I am this and that. So that so much demotivation can come in that particular child. And if we are grading any child as good, and so that child may feel, oh, I am good, I can do anything. So the main purpose of peering would not be sufficiently be possible to reach out to them when we are doing or making them sit in pair upon their abilities. So it will definitely have a negative effect on the understanding, on their ability, how to interact with each other. Because I have seen this, a very interesting incident when I went to a school in one of the states of one of the districts of Himachal Pradesh. I saw this child who was specially able because he was not able to hear. So he was sitting there inside the classroom. But before, the pair learning happened, he was there inside the classroom, sitting there, and the teacher was teaching him the whole class, but he wasn't able to hear. So for him, it was like coming to a classroom, just sitting there and going back without any knowledge gain. But when this pairing happened and random pairing, so he was able to interact every day with a new child. And this not only created himself in him that, yes, everyone is now talking to me. So he could now talk to a person and also understand several of the concepts that the teacher, while explaining, could not explain to the child, because the teacher has to handle so many children all together. And at the same time, the child who was helping them was learning a process of empathy. So that's really impactful. I could see that smile on the child's face, and even the smile on the child's face who was helping that particular boy. So that was really, gave me a blow. It emphasized that really this is what we are right now needing to transform how the children are learning.
What a beautiful story, Milita. And I think we've heard many stories from similar stories from different teachers and from students who found that in English we have the saying, in one ear, out the other. So if you're just listening to a lecture from the teacher, often we are not able to focus on that. But when we're working together with another child and we're helping them, they're helping us, that's when the real learning takes place. I just want to point out a couple of excellent comments coming in. So Patrick, who I think may be from Zimbabwe, if I'm not.
No, he's from Rwanda.
From Rwanda. Oh, sorry, Patrick from Rwanda. So great to have you with us, Patrick. Patrick said this is a good strategy as it also develops social skills within pupils. Absolutely right. Patrick also shared that random pairs also develop adaptation skills because pupils learn to work with others, even whom they did not work with before, instead of relying on the familiar friends or colleagues. So that's a really important point, that in a class, we're normally comfortable sitting just with our friends, but if we mix up the class, in India, we have the khichdi, a dish which is made of rice and dal. We need to mix the rice and dal together to get the good flavor with all the spices. So in the same way in the class, we don't want the kids, the same type of kids, the Muslim kids sitting together, the Hindu kids sitting together. No, we don't want that. We don't want the rich kids sitting here, the poor kids sitting there. We want to mix up the class and cut across those social divides. So that's very well said, Patrick. And also these now Spring Blossom, I apologize, your name is actually Dr. Urfana, but Spring Blossom is also a lovely name. So Dr. Urfana said, random pair learning helps in making heterogeneous groups and proper development of children in all domains. Above all, children get exposure to variety. It curtails discrimination of all sorts. Absolutely, really well said. And I think, personally speaking, as a foreigner as well, as an outsider, I think this is one of the big problems we have in Indian society is, the caste system, religious divisions, economic divisions. We are quite a divided society. So I think this is one of the beautiful things of ALfA, is this mixing, this social mixing. It's very beneficial academically, but also very, very beneficial socially. Education we want shared. It is so important to address the psychology of the child, to not label them in any way, right? So when, if, for example, in school, I was a so-called strong student. Teachers would often praise me. They would say, "Oh, Tom, good boy, you're doing so well," etc. But sometimes this would go to my head. I'd feel a bit arrogant and feel better than the child next to me, and that's not helpful. I don't think it's a good attitude. Similarly, if I'm sure Milita was also a strong student, but suppose we had somebody who the teacher is saying, "Oh, you're hopeless, you're never going to make it," that would also be very, very unhelpful, very demoralizing. So it's the beautiful part of this random pairing process is that we cut across those social divides, and children are working with new partners every day. As Milita shared, we've got that really simple, easy process of numbered chits. You can also write kids' names on chits of paper and draw them randomly. There's many ways to make random pairs, but we do find it's a very powerful process. Okay, so we've been talking about random pairing, which is the first step of the ALfA lesson, right? To get kids into pairs. But then what do they actually do in pairs? That's also a very important question. So for this, we'd like to do a little role play with you, right? We've got two different teaching styles. So in the first one, please watch both styles and then share in the chat which teaching methodology you preferred, the first one or the second one. So it's a tale of two different classrooms. So Milita, let's take it away for the first role play, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the chat. Which methodology do you prefer and why? So Milita.
Okay, so I'll first teach generally how we go inside the classroom and we are being taught. So let's start. Okay. So A for apple.
A for apple.
B for ball.
B for ball.
C for cat.
C for cat.
A for apple.
A for apple.
B for ball.
B for ball.
C for cat.
C for cat.
Right. So this is one way how we have been taught, or we have been learning the alphabets.
Okay, so that was one method. Keep that in mind, please. And then we want to do a different methodology. Now in this, supposing Milita and I are two students in the classroom and we are asking each other these questions. So Milita, can you tell me what picture is this on the left side?
This is a car.
Okay, great. And what's the first sound of car?
The first sound of car is K.
Wonderful. And what's the second picture?
That's an apple.
Nice. And the first sound of apple?
The first sound of apple is A.
Great. And the final picture?
This is a mug.
Not quite. We can bath in this. What is it?
Okay. Is this a tub?
Yeah, it's a tub.
Okay.
So what's the first sound of tub?
The first sound of tub, tub.
Great, great. Okay, so now let's join together the sounds. What was the first sound?
K.
And then?
A.
And then?
T.
Okay, and now joining together?
K at cat.
Yeah, well done.
Okay.
High five. Good job. So those were our two teaching techniques, right? You remember this first one, right? A for apple, B for ball. And then this one, in which we're going from the picture to the sound to the word. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat. After seeing this role play, which of these two methods did you prefer? Did you like method A, the ABC method, or the second option of the cat, going from the pictures to sounds to words? Which of those teaching methods did you prefer? So we've posted the question in the chat, and we look forward to hearing your responses. Come on, it's like Kaun Banega Crorepati. So respond quickly. We don't have all the day to wait for your responses. So be quick. Share us. Okay, so Ruhi Sultana prefers 2. Great. Others, we want to hear your thoughts as well. which of these methods did you prefer? This A for apple, B for ball, this was the first method, or the second method was this one. What is this? What's its first sound? And what words do these join together to make? So come on, everybody. In this election, we need more people to vote in this election. Everybody needs to get out and vote. So I'm interested to hear, and even while the vote is coming in, please do keep voting. But Milita, maybe we can discuss a little bit. What are the differences here we saw between the first method? So the first method is kind of the traditional approach. Second method is the ALfA approach. So what are some of the differences you see between these two? And we'd love to hear your thoughts. Keep voting, please, in the chat. Keep voting and share in the chat as well why. You know, like Ruhi shared, she preferred the second method. So we'd love to hear from you why. Why do you think that would be the more effective method? So Milita, what do you have on screen? What are some of the differences between the traditional method and the ALfA approach?
So the traditional method, when we are talking about, it's generally teacher-centric, like teacher coming in the front and telling the children, or making them learn concepts, making them understand the concept. So it's like teacher, pouring out the knowledge to the students. But when we are talking about the ALfA way, it's like teacher is igniting the process of the learning, and the learning is happening amongst the children. So that is a learner-centered, approach of learning, where children sitting together in pair, they are learning from each other rather than the teacher only speaking and all the learners or all the children are learning.
That's really well said. So it's moving from a teacher-centered way to a learner-centered, learner-led way. As you've been speaking, 6 people have voted, so that's good. And all of you prefer the second method. Okay, that's great. So let's hear your thoughts as well. Why do you prefer the second method? What are the differences you're seeing, and why do you prefer the second method? And just to add on to what Milita was saying, if we look at the second one, whereas in the first method, it's all about just rote memorization, right? Milita was just saying A for apple, B for ball, and I'm just repeating after her. So we have that phrase, right? In one ear, out the other. I'm not actually going to be able to putting that into my long-term memory because I'm just listening and repeating. It's not actually going into my brain. Whereas in the second method, if you remember, all of those questions, right? Milita and I were asking each other these questions. What is this? What's its first sound? So when we ask a question, then you have to think, right? The learner has to think. And when they're thinking, that's when it goes into their long-term memory. So by learners asking each other questions, they're making sure this comes into their long-term memory. And the final point there, it's a very easy and obvious one, I'm sure. But in this first approach, right, where we're saying A for apple, B for ball, well, when the child first comes to school, they don't actually know what this letter A is. It's an abstraction. It's just a symbol on a page. Now, they do know if they speak English, or even if it's their second language, they probably can recognize this is an apple, this is a ball, this is a cat. So they do recognize the picture. So in ALfA, instead of going from the unknown to the known, of the A for apple, B for ball, we go from known to unknown. So the children already recognize the pictures, so we go from the picture to the letter, or to the sound of the letter, and then on to the word. So this, we find, is a much more powerful approach because the kids already recognize the pictures, so they can build off of their existing knowledge. Now, as I've been speaking, Uma Mani has shared very well. She's shared pair method helps children to take ownership of their learning. They're helping each other and building skills and mutual support. Beautifully said. Yeah. So paired method is very powerful. Absolutely, we agree. And Uma Mani has a lot of experience of this, working with quite young kids as well, which is very interesting because often as adults, we think, oh, they're young kids. How will they be able to help each other? And what do they know? They don't know themselves. How are they helping each other? But I think Uma Mani can share more on this in the chat. She's working with kids who are as young as 4 or 5-year-old, and they're also working together in pairs. So lots more people have voted for 2. Okay, great. I would love to hear any further thoughts on this. Why do you prefer this second method? What do you think is more effective about this? So that is the ALfA method in a real nutshell. Now, I'd like to just go into a little bit more depth to show you the book, how it's structured, how it works. So in the first lesson, right, which we took that word from, there's 3 parts to the lesson. So in the first part, we have some picture cards, picture and letter cards. So I don't know, maybe can you zoom in on me for a moment? if you just zoom in on me, you'll see that we have these picture cards, picture and letter cards. I've got them here in Hindi with me, but we've got these in English as well. So we play various games with the children. We use these picture and letter cards. They play matching games, they play memory games. These cards we can provide, or you can also invite the children to make themselves. Milita, we find it's very fun activity for the children to do the drawings themselves, to make these letters themselves, and then to play games. So this is especially important in English. If English is a second language for the child, then they first need to play some games to get to recognize these pictures of car, apple, tub, and so forth. Then the second part is what we already saw in the role play, right? Millet and I were asking each other, what is this? What's its first sound? And what word do these join together to make? Now, an important point to make here is, for the first word, supposing Millet and I are two students, for the first word, like cat, I will be asking Milita the questions. What is this? What's the first sound? So forth. Then for the next word, we will swap roles. Milita will be asking me. So she will ask me, what is this picture? What is its first sound? So forth. So we'll be swapping roles throughout the lesson. Then you'll see down the bottom in part 3, we have new words. These are words which are made of the same letters, the same sounds that have already been introduced. They are now here at the bottom, and we are practicing this without the pictures. So now we need to try to recognize, okay, this is a, m, am, at, at. So now that abstraction is taking place, the children are learning to recognize the letters even without the pictures being there immediately. You'll also see, you can't read them here, but there's those boxes on the right side of the page. They are prompts. They are guides for the teacher to describe, what the activity is, how to do it. Milita, before we go on, can you just explain for us, because some of the viewers may be wondering why we are doing ka rather than C. Normally we do C for car, A for apple, but here we're doing ka, a, t. So why are we focusing on the sound of the letter and not the name of the letter?
See, basically we are focusing upon the sound of the letter because when we are reading anything, any word, whenever we are reading a word, we are not focusing upon the name of the letter, but the sound of the letter. Because when you are reading a word, supposingly out here, cat, so you are not saying C, but you are saying ka. When you are reading mat, you are not saying M, you are saying So that's why, that's the main essence of it, that whenever you are reading, so it becomes much more easier for them to read this particular word that you are introducing to them through the sound of that letter.
Yes.
If we would have introduced to them, the name of the letter, like M, A, or T, then it would take another aspect on another, some more sessions where they have to be introduced to the sound before they come to this reading part.
Yes, very true, Milita. So that's why we're focusing on the sound of the letter rather than on the name, the A, B, whatever. So I just want to comment, a couple of good comments have come in the chat, so I just want to mention them. So Ruhi said, by second method, they can understand the sound easily. And Dr. Urma said, second method is learner-centered. Right. So the learners are leading this process. They're asking each other the questions. They're not reliant on the teacher. They're actually helping each other. So excellent. Now, one more comment. It was here. Please use Hindi language. So I'm sorry. Today the session is in English, right? Because we have our guests here from Manipur, from Rwanda, from Malaysia. So we're going to stick to English today. But I will ask my team to please post a recording, the link to the recording, because we recently did this session in Hindi and we were discussing the Hindi book. तो अगर आपको हिंदी में ये देखना है, कृपया हम अपनी टीम से रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे कि आप उस लिंक को शेयर कीजिए चैट में, जो हमने रिसेंटली मूट किया था हिंदी में, और आप उस लिंक को खोल के देख सकते हैं. एंड now we'll go back to English, but please do check out that link. We did this training recently in Hindi. So we'll also, by the way, in the upcoming week, in the next week, we're doing this training in Urdu. So Urdu, similar to Hindi, but a bit different. My Urdu is not so good. So I've got a colleague who will be helping us with that. But yeah, so if you're interested, especially friends joining us from Kashmir or anybody who's Urdu as their mother tongue, please do join us next week as well. We would love to hear your thoughts. We've just been revising the Urdu materials, so we'd love to hear your thoughts on them and your feedback as well.
So I would
sorry,
like to
Milita,
just drop in with
Yes.
some aspects.
Yes.
And before that, I would love to request you all, those who have joined from different parts of the world, as well as from different parts of India, to kindly subscribe to our own YouTube channel. So this will give you some idea about, when we are doing the next MOOT, or whenever we are uploading any ideas for you all to join. So
Yeah.
it will be good if you all, it's a kind request if you all could subscribe to our own YouTube channel. And at the same time, I would also like to ask you one thing. Supposingly, when we are reading these words that you showed, that's down out here, and when I'm reading this word, so you said that you will be reading one word and I would have to read the second word. So now I am not able to read this second word that say, I am saying, you said I'm not able to recognize the letter T.
Yes.
So should you tell me that letter and make it easier for me, or what should I do?
Right. Good point, Milita. So if I just flick forward in my slide here, you'll see this is the box that we are talking about, right? Where it's am, at, so forth. So now here, supposing one of the students cannot remember the letter and not recognize the sound, the other student will ask them, okay, search above, right? So in the above section where there are the pictures, they will say, okay, look at the shape of this letter and search above. So Milita, can you see that shape? Can you try to find it up there?
Yes.
Okay. What's the picture?
Just below the picture of tub.
Okay, great. So what's the first sound of tub?
That's T.
Great. So that's the same letter. It's the letter T.
Okay, so
Sound.
A, T, at.
Yeah, great job.
Okay.
High five. Lots of high fives in the ALfA process. So you see that children can correct each other's errors, right? So if Milita makes a mistake, I can correct or help her. If I make a mistake, she can help me. But the idea is not that the one student will tell the other student the answer all the time. The idea is that the children are working together as equals and helping each other out. So great, I appreciate the comments coming in. Please do join us. Yes, next week, definitely join us for Urdu. So next week on Monday, we have the Urdu literacy session, and Tuesday, we have the numeracy, which we'll be explaining in Urdu. So please do join us. Just as a reminder, tomorrow, we have the numeracy session in English, and Wednesday, we have another session in English, which is describing in more detail this paired learning process and the steps of the ALfA classroom, and also assessments in ALfA, and describing a lot of different topics on the ALfA process in English. Okay, so I'd like to, we've just shared, by the way, the link there. This is, I think, the link for the Hindi session. So अगर आपको हिंदी में ये देखना था, तो please उस link पे click कीजिए. आप देख सकते हैं जो हमारा पिछले महीना हिंदी में मूट हुआ था. Okay, so I'd like to show you briefly, this was just the first page of the book. I'd like to open the PDF of the book just to explore briefly what its structure is, what its content is. And just a reminder that these materials will be made available for you at the end of today, in about 45 minutes. We'll be doing a fun quiz with you. We'll be sharing the link for you. If you do the quiz, you'll share your email through that. You do the quiz, we will send you a certificate for attending today's training, and we'll also send you the soft copies of these materials so that you can try it out in your classroom right away. So with that, I'd like to open the PDF of the book and just share it with you, show you some of its structure and content. So we can scroll down here. Yeah, so that's the claim we're making: boost FLN 45 days, as we've seen in the video today. And hearing from Leslie and Ricky, it sounds remarkable, but it is true. It's incredible. Okay, so this is just the instructions page. This is showing this process of going from picture to sound. This is the contents page. So it's showing there's 45 lessons. So it's 45 days, 45 lessons. And these are the steps of the ALfA classroom. We won't dwell on this too much now, and we'll be covering this more on Wednesday. But you'll see there's these Tino and Toto puppets, which the children are using. The kids are forming random pairs. And then there's this 4-step process in the ALfA classroom. We'll go into this in more detail on Wednesday. But just to say, it's not like we're just giving you these books and then leaving you in the deep end. We've got a structure, we've got a process to help you. There's a lot of freedom and flexibility within that. But then, we're providing this teacher guide, this handbook for you, which will help you through it. Okay, so here are the lessons, the English lessons. You can see there's 5 lessons, and all of them are the same basic structure which we just saw. So there's these cards across the top. So you can invite the children to make these picture and letter cards and play the games with them. Then there's the words. So you saw there in that lesson, you saw the words there, in which there's hen, right? So just back one slide, sorry. So you can see there the words, right? The picture, hen, the first sound, ha, and then the umbrella, tub, ta, ha, ta, hut. And finally, there's the box at the bottom of the page. So once after these 5 lessons, right? It seems crazy, Milita, but in 5 lessons, we introduce the whole alphabet, all 26 letters, all those sounds we're introducing in just these 5 pages through the same structure. You can see the box there at the bottom has quite a bit of practice for all of those letters. So then after we've introduced all of these letters, then we have more reading practice. So if we go on to the next page, you'll see now we're grouping them by vowels, right? So reading words. So many of these words rhyme. So you can see there, fat, rat, tat. Now the way we would do this, Milita and I, if we are reading, we'd be taking turns, right? So supposing I say fat, Milita, you say?
Rat.
I say tat.
I say cat.
Pat.
Sat.
And so on, right? So we're taking turns to read these words, and we're building up our fluency as we go. Then we've got the same for words with E, and then eat words with I, and so on. And throughout, you'll see there's also some pictures there to help build vocabulary so they know what these words mean, what the pictures are. Great. Okay, so flicking on through, you'll also see that, let's stop here for a moment. So you'll see that so far in the book, we've just been looking at words, right? And now we come to sentences. Now we are starting to form sentences. So again, we'll take turns. We'll read one sentence each. So if I read, a fan, okay, Milita, now it's your turn.
A ram.
Okay. A sax.
A rabbit sat.
Okay, great. Now you'll see here a couple of things. One is that the 2 different A's have a different color. Maybe could we just zoom in a little bit, please, Nishant, on this? So if we just zoom in up, yeah, that's right, a bit more. You'll see that there's the blue A, which has the umbrella on top. Now that's making the sound right? And then there's the red A with the apple on top, which is making the sound So this is the tricky thing about English. It's a very frustrating language that the same letter can make a very different sound in a different place. Now, the way we've tried to cover this in the book is when we're introducing this, we have this color code. So we don't have this color code throughout the book, but when we're introducing this, we have this color code so that kids can see, okay, here the letter A is making the sound and here it's making the sound So this whole page is there mainly for sentences, but also to help children recognize the different sounds of A. I just want to point out at the bottom of this page, if we just go up again, the bottom of that page, we had a QR code. So, and it's also clickable, right? So if you have the PDF of this book, you can click on it. And if you have the hard copy, you can just scan the QR. So this is practicing sentence practice with and at. So there's lots of different resources which we don't have space to put in the book itself, but we are linking to it. And you'll see in the box on the left side, there's prompts which say, pair up and take turns, read one sentence at a time each, take turns to act out the sentence as well. Okay, so we should do this as well, Milita. So we can see this one on the left side. Man had a hat. So I'm going to act that out. Okay, here's my hat. Okay, next, your turn.
So Pam had a pan.
Okay, nice. And Dan had a cat. Meow, meow.
And then Pat had a bat.
Great. So you can see here, we're encouraging the kids. It's not just about reading. It's about reading with enjoyment, reading with understanding, and acting is a fun way to show that we've understood the sentence and that we're enjoying ourselves. So if we just flick through a bit more of the book, you'll see that there's more of these sentence practices, right? Sentence practice with photos, with pictures. lots more resources. Here again, you'll see that there's these different sounds, being introduced. So there's color codes, like the letter S sometimes makes the sound S, sometimes makes the sound Z. So we have a different color code for that, and so on. So we can keep going through. And here we have a very nice structure in which there's, again, sentence practice using the same structure of sentence. So again, we'll take turns. So I will say, he is a man. And then Milita will say,
He is a dad.
he is a lad.
He is a boy.
He is a cop. Okay, so then we'd go on to the next sentence. So again, we're just gradually, very gradually building up the vocabulary, building up the sentence structure awareness, and all the time the children are having fun, they're taking turns in pairs. So we can keep scrolling through. And by the way, as we're scrolling, I want to ask you, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, your comments on the structure of this book, any suggestions you have, any things you like about it, what you find interesting. I'm going to be looking at the chat very soon. So please do post your comments as we flick through this book. Okay, if we just zoom in here a little bit, you'll see that there's some poems. And here we're actually introducing comprehension questions for the first time. So you'll see it's all scaffolded, from simple to complex. We're starting just with sounds, words, then building to sentences, and now we've got whole passages or poems with comprehension questions. So again, Milita and I would read it one line at a time. So Pat has a cat.
Cat is fat.
The fat cat sat.
It sat on a mat.
Yeah. Okay. So we take turns reading it, and then we'll ask each other the question. So Milita, the cat is
fat.
Yeah, okay, great. So we'll ask each other these questions to check that we are understanding the passage. And we've got more of these poems. So this was a poem mainly focused on the A sound. Then we have another poem focused on the E sound, and so on. One more point to comment on here is we only gave 2 questions for this poem, but if you notice in the prompts on the right side, it says also ask each other more questions, right? So Milita and I would then be thinking of more questions to ask each other, and we find that this is very powerful, right? Children really enjoy thinking of more questions to ask each other, and then they take more interest in actually solving those questions and answering them when it's not a question just from a textbook, but it's a question from their friend who's sitting next to them. So that's why you might be wondering, why don't we have 50 questions? Well, it's because we just want to give 1 or 2 to spur the imagination, and then we want kids to ask each other more questions. Okay, I think we can keep scrolling through now, and I want to show you in the next part of the book. By the way, the book is divided into units, right? So you'll see the color coding. The first unit was blue, light blue color. That was looking at just the basic, the 26 sounds forming words. Now this second unit is light green, and it's focused on these phonic words. So very simple, easy to read words and simple sentences. And if we keep going now, we'll see that the third unit. So if we just keep going down here, the third unit is yellow, this yellowish color, and it's focused on pronunciation. So you'll see in English, of course, it's very difficult, spelling and pronunciation. So you'll see all of these different consonant combinations and vowel combinations, double consonants, all of these things have practice. Here, the silent E, right? So again, we'll be taking turns to read. So I would read, okay, cake, and Milita would read,
the next, I think, is gate.
Yeah, then I read flame,
plate,
and so on, right? So we're practicing here that the E at the end is silent, and it means that the A makes a longer sound. So we're again taking turns using the pictures to help us figure out what the word is. So we can keep scrolling through, but I just wanted to share this much, that it's quite a systematic approach, building from the simple to the complex. And then we move on and we have vocabulary development. Okay, so all of these different hospital, like different places, different transport, household objects, all of these different vocabulary developments. And there's most of these things have a fun activity or 2 written at the bottom that they're suggesting. So for example, in verbs, right, if we just look at the activity here, I think if I recall, the activity is again for acting. So supposing, let's give this a try, Milita, I'm going to act something, and I would like to hear your thought, Milita, and also in the chat, if you can respond quickly enough, what verb am I playing? What verb am I acting? So are we ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Swimming.
Yes, great. Can we come make the video full screen, please? Yeah, let's make the video full screen. Yeah, okay. Okay, now let's go for...
Sleeping.
Okay, now it's your turn. Your turn to act a verb.
Okay, so let me do something to say.
Hitting?
Yes.
Like in a cricket shot, it
Yes,
looks like.
yes, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
now it's my turn.
Eating.
Okay, easy.
Okay, so I'm giving you a difficult one.
Cooking.
Yes.
Cooking an omelette. Okay, nice. So again, you'll see the kids, they're not just practicing reading, they're also they're doing acting, they're enjoying themselves, and they're developing their vocabulary this way. So if we keep going through the book, you'll see after this unit on vocabulary, then I think there's the next unit is focused more on reading comprehension. So if we keep going, and by the way, I'm just keeping my eye on the chat as well. So some excellent comments. Ruhi Sultana said, will you share PDF, please? Absolutely, Ruhi. So at the end of today, please do the quiz, right? Join us for the quiz, and then we'll share. You'll share your email through that, and we'll email it to you. And Donat Iakarame, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your names, everybody. Donat said, well structured with good pictures and colors to help maintain the attention of children or of kids. Great. So Ruhi, there's no attendance link, right? We'll just share the quiz link at the end of today's session, and please go and do the quiz, and then we can share you a certificate and also these resources. Okay, Ruhi said riding. Nice. Yeah.
Donut is also from Rwanda.
Oh, Donut is also from Rwanda. That's really good to know. Thank you, Donut. Good to have you. And we have Bijaya also from Manipur. Great. So just to flick through the last few pages of the book, you'll see now we have more passages on reading comprehension. These are introduction, kids are introducing each other, introducing themselves, good manners, lots of different good things here. And if we just keep flicking, oh, this is a nice one. This is like a role play. So supposing I take the role of Toto, Milta takes the role of Tina, or vice versa, then we take turns reading out these lines each. So for example, I would say, let's play. Are you ready, Tina?
Yes, let's play a ball game.
Okay. Our visibility is not so good here, but that's fine. But the kids would be taking turns reading the lines and playing out the role play. Okay, the final unit I want to show you, which is quite interesting, is writing. So if we just keep flicking through all of this, the final unit, the very final unit is writing. Now, in writing, we have, we put writing right at the end, right? It's the 6th unit, 6 out of 6. We start with the letter strokes. So they're learning in the same order as the letters they introduced earlier, way back at the start. So they're learning the letter strokes, and then they're doing, so we encourage them to first do the stroke in the air, and then on sand or in atta, and then using the pencil or pen. So they're learning the letter strokes, and then there's lots of different fun activities that they're doing with the writing. So we'll show a couple of these activities. You can just keep going down a little. Okay.
So I would ask you one question.
Yes.
That why are we introducing the writing in the very end?
Yes.
Instead of introducing the letters and the writing simultaneously.
Yes.
And at the same time, again, I would request all our viewers to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that everything that is the latest come up to you at the quickest.
And that's right. That's right. You won't need to ask when the next thing is happening. You'll get notified immediately. So it's a good question, Milta, and I'd like to hear your thoughts as well in the chat. The question was, why are we introducing writing at the end rather than at the start? So Milta, I'm sure you're familiar, and many of you will be familiar with the framework of listening, speaking, reading, writing, or LSRW, since we love acronyms. So the reason for this, I think, Milta, is in my experience, when children already know how to read, then writing becomes quite easy for them because they already recognize the letters, so they can form those shapes easily. Whereas if they don't recognize the letters and they're trying to write, it's quite difficult for them, right? It's quite challenging because they're needing to look very carefully at the order, the shape of the letter. It's quite challenging. So when I've tried this, I've tried teaching kids to write their name, even just their name. But if they don't know how to read it, it's quite difficult for them. So I do encourage you, start with reading, right? I know in India, we normally start, we give them the pencil and we say, write this line 50 times. But, that's really not a very interesting way of doing it. It's quite boring. And we do encourage, if you start with reading, then the writing will be so much easier at the end. So please do share your comments. We're interested to hear your thoughts on this book. What you found interesting about it. Now we're going to do a couple of these writing activities as well, right? I think this will be fun. So let's go for if I can go back to my PowerPoint, please. If I can just go back to my PowerPoint. Yeah. So I'd like to invite all of you to please get out your pen and paper, right? Because we're going to have we're going to skip that. We're going to come back to this as well. Yeah, we've got this fun writing activity, right? So we'd love to get your involvement in this as well. So grab a pen and paper, right? And we're going to give you 2 minutes. Milith and I will also take 2 minutes. And we're going to see how many words we can write using just these 8 letters that are visible on screen. So you'll see these letters on the right side, Y, I, A, T, L, R, E, C. So you'll see these 8 letters. And now you need to try to use just these letters, no other letters, to try to make as many words as you can. So for example, if we just see those letters again, I think there was C, A, and T there. So we can make the word cat, right? So that could be one of the words. Or we can make the word car, C-A-R. But there's not M there. So we can't make the word mat because that uses an M. So I hope that's clear. And I would love to hear have your participation in this. Before we go for that activity, the doctor shared writing is the last skill of language and can be effective only after other skills are acquired. That's very well said. Exactly what I was trying to explain, but in a much more succinct way. So well said. It's the last skill of language. So let's go for this last skill of language, right? One of these fun writing activities. This is there in the book. So when you get access to this book, you'll see this activity and you'll see lots of other fun activities as well. So we're going to give you 2 minutes. Quick, grab your pen, grab your paper, and let's start writing. Go. We need to see the letters on screen though. We need to see the letters on screen. Okay. So just a reminder that you can use the same letter multiple times. You can use it in different words, but you can only use these 8 letters that are visible on screen. So please give it a try, and we want to hear from you then at the end of the 2 minutes how many words you were able to make. We want to hear in the chat. Okay. Okay, that's 30 seconds down, 1.5 minutes to go. Okay, everybody, 1 minute left. Keep going, see how many words you can find. Okay, final 30 seconds, everybody. See how many words you can get. Okay, last 10 seconds. Okay, and time is up, everybody. Pens down and back to the video. So Please share your thoughts in the chat. We want to hear what words you found, how many words you found, and maybe one or two of your favorite words. We'd love to hear in the chat. So I can share as well. I got, I think, let's see, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I got 17 words. Okay. What about you, Melissa? How do you? 12. Great job. So it's not a competition, right? We're just seeing. So my favorite word was treacle. Treacle.
Wow.
Yeah, very tasty. What about you? What was your favorite word?
Literacy.
Literacy. Oh, you found literacy. That's a hard one. Okay, let's see in the chat. Ruhi got at, rat, treat. Okay, that's nice. Very nice. Let's hear others also. You want to hear what words you found and how many words you found. So far I'm winning the competition. Not that it's a competition, but I'm winning on 17. Did anybody beat 17? Interested to hear. Ruhi also had let. Great. Others we want to hear from as well. Patrick also shared earlier, the book is very attractive for young kids. Thank you, Patrick. So that's what we designed it for. You know, it's not so much designed for teachers from the teacher perspective. It's designed from the learner's perspective, something that would be easy for kids to use together in pairs without needing too much help from the teacher. The prompts are there for the teacher, but mainly it's designed for kids to be able to use it in pairs with each other. So let's hear how many words or the longest word that you found. We want to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for that, I also want to hear your thoughts on, what are the advantages of this activity? It was fun, I hope, but apart from that, what are kids learning from this activity? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. So, Milita, any thoughts for you? What's the benefits of this activity?
So this is a very creative way of making them learn new words. And I would say often in my, when I was studying, it was like dictation was a very important aspect that was there in our classrooms. So when the teachers have to take dictations, instead of taking dictations, why don't we give them this kind of activity? I won't say, take out the dictations from the whole curriculum system, but I would say, if you take 10 times dictations in your whole session, why don't you give 5 sessions for this kind of activity? So out there, what the children are doing is they are basically, when you are giving a dictation, the children are basically focusing upon what my teacher would ask instead of focusing upon what they could learn more. But when they have this kind of activity, they would be much more creative in learning new words, so that when this kind of game happens or a quiz happens, they are able to frame new words.
Yeah.
So this is what I believe could be a very interesting way.
Good thought. So they're not just learning spelling and writing, they're also learning creativity. A really good point. I'm just having a look in the chat. So we had, Christina also found literacy. Very nice. Like you, Milita. Alfred found literacy as well. And car, cat, react, clear, lots of good words. Excellent. And Ruhi has mentioned cognitive development, really important. So ALfA, it's first and foremost, it's a literacy and numeracy program, building reading, writing, arithmetic. But beyond that, we are really focusing also on cognitive development and social development, social emotional development. So that's why this paired learning is so powerful. It's both good academically, but it's also really powerful for their social development, for their cognitive development. And that's why we have all these activities, these multi-purpose activities. It's like an all-rounder. In cricket, we have the all-rounder who can bat, bowl, and field. So it's the same way. This activity, it's good academically, but it's also good socially and cognitively. Socially, by the way, supposing we were doing this as a pair, now, I found 17 words, Milita found 12, but some of the words that Milita found, I would not have found. So, for example, I think she found it, very simple word, it, right? And I didn't have it. So there will be some other words. Oh, there's also tire. That's nice. So there'll be some words that Milita found that I didn't, and some words I found that she didn't. So we can share these words with each other and develop our social bond this way through. So, okay, Patrick, is there anyone who found ice there? Okay, I didn't find ice, but it was there. Yeah, very nice. This activity requires pupils to use their memory very properly. It's very inspiring. Thanks, Patrick. So there's lots more activities like this in the book, that are there as suggestions for you as teachers. And that's what we really want in the ALfA process. These sorts of paired activities, which are limitless. So in this activity, in the book itself, what we recommend is that the two students pool their names. So for example, if my name is Tom, I'll just write that here. And Milita, can you write your name as well? So we ask the two students sitting next to each other to write their own name and then make a list of all the letters that are found in their name. So for example, in my name, I have Tom, T-O-M, and Milita has M-I-L-T and A. So together we would find, okay, I think we have what, we have a total of 7 different letters. So we have 7 different letters in the two of our names. So that's cool. Now, somebody else, I think Patrick, supposing Patrick and Ruhi were sitting together, they would have a different set of 7 letters. Okay, we can see here. Okay, so you can see there I've got T-O-M, Tom, and Milita. So we would be pooling these letters. We'd be making a common list of letters. So T-O-M, and then from Milita's name, I-L-A, and I think that's all. I, L, and A are additional letters from your name. So we've got 6 letters. Now we need to try to find how many words we can make just using these 6 letters. But then it means that a different pair, they will be having a different set of letters. Okay, great. So most of these activities, they're very flexible. You can do them many different times. So it's not like every time we're using just the same letters. We're using a different set of letters each time, and they're finding many new words. Let's do one more fun activity. We've just got the time for one more, but then I hope you do go through the book and try it out yourself, looking at all the other activities. So just back on the PowerPoint, we want to show you the final activity for today. Again, a fun writing activity. So here we have these words, fun having, I am today. So what we're going to do here is Milita and I are going to write a separate word on a separate piece of paper, right? So I'd invite you also to try this out wherever you are, at home, at school, or wherever you are. You can try writing one word each on these different pieces of paper. So we've got fun. Okay, having I am okay, so please do try this out yourself as well. Here's one more. Fun having I am today. Okay, so here are all the words we've got laid out here. Fun having I am today. I want to hear your thoughts in the chat box. What sentence does this make? If you unscramble these words, fun having am I today, can you unscramble this and write the sentence in the chat box? Fun having am I today. So please unscramble it yourself and put it in the chat box. What sentence does this make? Okay, Milita, let's try. Let's work on it, unscrambling it. What do you think will come first in the sentence?
Will am come first?
Well, if it was a question, am would come first. But if it's a statement, then the subject should come first.
Right. So I'll take I first.
Okay, nice. I. And then I think you're correct. That am.
Okay.
I am. Okay. Now, can you think what would come next now?
I am fun having? No.
No.
Then it would be having.
Aha. Okay, so now we have the verb. I'm having fun today. Okay.
I'm having fun today.
Lovely. Great. And I'm looking at the chat. I hope somebody else was also able to solve this simple little one. Just 5 words to be unscrambled. There we go. RK Govind was first. Sorry, Ruhi was first. I am having fun today. RK Govind, I am having fun today. Now, it's a bit tricky because Milita is correct. It could also be, am I having fun today? It could also be a question. But if we want to make it a statement, I am having fun today. And I hope the answer to am I having fun today is yes. I hope you are. So again, a very simple activity, but it means that children through this, well, let me ask you, Milita, what do you think? What are children learning through this activity?
See, first and the foremost thing is they are understanding the sentence frame up. So because just as I was, I was making am come first and I later on. So now I understood that the subject should come first.
Yes.
And the am.
Yeah.
So that helps me out to understand the the formation, sentence formation.
Yes. Yes.
And it will help me gradually when I am writing sentence.
Right.
Also.
Right. Good point. And if we just go back to the slide, I see somebody has also been very clever and answered the second one as well. The second one, which Milith and I are not going to solve, but I invite you to solve in the chat. ALfA want in use classroom I my too. Slightly harder one, 8 words, I think. So a bit harder. Christina has already solved it, but invite others to also try putting this in the chat. And okay, Christina's answer is there on screen. Nice. So Milita, I think you're exactly right. And it's interesting that, grammar, even though English is my mother tongue, I always hated grammar. It's so confusing, difficult, boring. But this activity is about grammar. It's about what is the correct order to put the sentence in, why we are putting subject first and then verb, then object. So the structure, the basic structure of the English sentence, putting the adjective before the noun, putting the adverb, all of these things can be learned, can be understood very nicely through this activity. And again, it's a flexible activity because the way we would do this in a pair, right? So this was, we give a couple of examples like this in the book, but then we'd invite the pair. So supposing Milita writes a sentence for me, she might write a 10-word sentence. She will write them on separate pieces of paper, the different words. Then she'll shuffle them up and give them to me. And then it's my job to unscramble those words to find the sentence that she made. So it's kind of like a mystery. It's like a code, right? So it's quite fun. It's quite interesting. Oh, can I figure out what sentence Milita made? And it's also possible that maybe there's a different sentence I can make with the same words, which has a different meaning. So it's quite a fun activity. But these concepts of grammar, rather than just being taught, on the blackboard from the teacher lecturing the student, the kids are learning this in this very enjoyable, hands-on way of moving these cards around. So I'm seeing lots more people have responded. And you can see how cheeky I am. I'm getting you to write, I'm having fun today. I hope you are having fun today. Hope you're enjoying this. Does It Group said, yes, I want to use ALfA in my classroom. Wonderful. So we would love to hear your thoughts. What can our children learn from this activity? What's the advantages of this type of activity? And I will encourage you at the end of today, which is coming up very soon, please do go to the quiz, and then we'll share you on your email. We'll share you these materials and give them a try in your classroom. I think you'll really enjoy them. Enjoy these activities and lots more of these fun activities. Okay, beautiful. So while we're waiting for your thoughts and responses, Milita, would you like to share a little on this? That, ALfA, we've been talking about literacy and numeracy mainly, but then we also like to talk about these 21st century skills, which we are calling 4C plus 4C. It's a bit confusing, but 4C, on the left side, you can see that's things, cognitive skills, so critical thinking, communication, creativity, collaboration. On the right side, that's social skills, things like citizenship, climate consciousness, character, and connectedness. So these words sound very nice, they sound very fancy, but how does that ALfA actually help? How does ALfA help develop these types of skills and social skills, cognitive skills?
So when we are talking about earlier, it was like, ALfA is not just making them read and write and solve basic numerical problems. It's also talks about pair learning. And when the children are sitting in pairs, so they tend to, any way or the other, when they sit in pair and they have one book, that's the essential part when we are talking about the ALfA way of learning, that both the children have one book. So in any way, I have to interact with you irrespective of what I believe about you, how I think about you. I have to interact with you to study.
Yeah.
So that, enables so many of our ideas, with this communication that is happening in my classroom or when I'm communicating with you, so many, ideas I must be having, presumptions I must be having about you,
Yes.
that would break down when I am conversing with you. So that's really very impactful when, sitting in the alpha classroom, I'm learning the skill of, communication, creativity, critical thinking, but it is also connecting me with you.
Yeah.
I am understanding how you feel.
Yeah.
And then you are also understanding how I feel about certain of the things.
Yeah.
So it develops in them, or among the children, this idea, because generally it's like, in our classrooms, we are mainly conversing with our friends. We are not open in conversation with anyone or everyone inside the classroom.
Yeah.
So that generates in us this idea.
Yeah.
And about climate consciousness, there's so many things that we can relate to is, and specifically the books that we have. This book is not is the resource of the teacher instead of being the resource of the children. So, and if the requirement of the book, supposingly if there are 30 children, I would be requiring only 15 of the books, because both the children are using one book.
Sure.
And then the teacher is also explaining to them that, okay, fine, you have to use it gently, so that it becomes the resource of the classroom. And the next class, or the next session, new children, when they come, they are using that same very book.
So it's a very thin book, and also the kids are sharing this in a pair, so it's saving paper as well. Yeah, good point. So yeah, as Meritha was explaining, it's really beautiful to consider that ALfA is developing all of these social skills, these cognitive skills, not just the literacy and numeracy. And a nice comment came in as well. I find this interesting to utilize in class. Absolutely. Please do try it out in class. And I want to share one final very short video, right? A very short video here in the PowerPoint itself. So this is some of the outcomes that can come from ALfA. If you're using this program, if even just for 30 days, in this case, this was a school in Lucknow, just 30 days on, children are reading newspapers. Let's have a watch.
She wants as a jet fracture for autumn public school. Changetar versus Tharu voters stop for close context. ED number 1 star steps up then for the West Bengal seat. Here we go again, India. Enjoy our water aid. Quality norms set by the World Bank of India.
I've asked them, and they're able to understand what they're reading as well. It's not just reading; it's reading with comprehension, reading with fluency. So this is possible. It's not that kids in Lucknow are smarter than kids in Kashmir or Ladakh or Manipur or anything. No, not at all. Maybe the opposite, I think. But all this is possible through this activity-based, this paired learning approach. So we are so excited to have you with us today and to share this methodology with you. And we do request you, please try this out in your classroom and share us feedback, share us videos as well from your context. Then maybe in the next MOOT, we'll be using your video to demonstrate and to explain for the next group of people who are interested in taking this up. So please do give this a try, take it up. So just to wrap up there for the day, I would love to share my PowerPoint again, just to conclude. And then we'll be sharing the quiz link. So oh, right, mantras for success. This is really important. So what is, what's the key to success using ALfA pedagogy? Well, the first thing is to believe in it, right? If we don't give it a try with our full heart, with our full confidence, it's not going to work, right? If you are like half believe, oh, okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't, and you just try it for 10 minutes, okay, it's not going to work. But if you give it a faithful try, you say, okay, I'm just going to give this a try for 1 month and see what happens. I think you're going to see an incredible result. And the belief in children's ability to learn themselves, right? As teachers, we often think our students will only learn if I teach them, if I tell them. But in ALfA, it's really about kids helping each other to learn. The teacher is there just as a galvanizer, as a person helping guide them through the process, but the kids are mainly doing the learning themselves and in pairs. So we need to believe in that. Random pairing, right? So making fresh random pairs every day. It takes a little bit of time, but it's very fun and it's very worthwhile. And working on these 4C skills, right? Not trying to teach this from a textbook. You can't teach how to be a critical thinker from a textbook or from a lecture. These can only be learned through the process of paired learning and activity-based learning. So yeah, we'd love to hear any thoughts from you, especially any questions, any questions from today's training. We'd love to hear your comments on what things you are eager to adopt. And we're also going to have a poll open up very soon in our chat, a poll to ask you, are you interested to try out this ALfA English activities, this ALfA English methodology in your classroom? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Already some people are saying yes, excellent, sure, great. So please keep posting in the chat, especially any questions you do have from today's session. I know it was quite a short session, but I think quite power-packed and quite useful. But I would love to hear your thoughts, any questions, any comments from today's session, just before we wrap up. Milita, I'll hand it over to you, but one comment has come in. Joyful learning is the success. Very well said, man. So the key, what we're seeing in these videos, in these activities, is if the kids are enjoying themselves, then the learning is going to explode. If the kids are bored, then they're not going to learn at all. So peer learning also, Ruhi shared, peer learning is absolutely central. Totally agree. So Milita, any further concluding remarks from you? You've been around the country, so many different states. You've seen ALfA in government schools, in private schools, in adult literacy contexts. Couple of words from you on, what's the real essence of ALfA?
See, what I believe is, as Tom said, you have to believe this. And just after believing, try it out. And I assure you, you will see the difference in the learning level of the children. And this difference will be not just in the marks that the children would be gaining, but also in the outcome or how they visualize the learning process. And this is the difference that we want to create in the children. And I would love to also invite you all and ask all your everyone who is around you to try this out at your place. Even anyhow, just try it out and it's not a huge we don't require much of your time, just simple 45 days, and you could see the transformation. And I tell you, you will see the transformation. And tomorrow we have a much more interesting session of numeracy, and we would love to have you ask also your friends to also join the session that we would be having tomorrow, because I tell you, numeracy or maths, I used to always fear maths. But with this ALfA pedagogy, you could make this numeracy or maths so interesting. So come up ready with materials that you have in your, or around you, like, pebbles, rajma beans, or anything that is there. Come with caps, with ice cream sticks, math sticks, bottle caps, anything that is around you. Come up ready tomorrow, and I assure you, today's session as well as the tomorrow's session would be very interesting for you, because numeracy would be, I was mind blown when I started learning how solving numeracy with the ALfA way of teaching methodology. So it was mind blowing for me, and I assure you, you will have that same very experience.
Wonderful. Thanks, Milita. So please definitely join us tomorrow, same time, 4 to 6 p.m. IST. As Milita shared, please bring with you maybe 10 or 15 each of 2 different items. So it could be absolutely anything. Could be pebbles, beans, buttons, bottle caps, ice cream sticks, matchsticks. Could be absolutely anything. And we'll be using these for some fun hands-on numeracy activities tomorrow. Before then, I'll request my team to post in the chat the link for the quiz. So please do post the quiz link, and please today in the evening, wherever you get the chance, go. It's a very short quiz. It'll just take you 5 minutes. Make sure you fill your email address correctly so that we can email you a certificate for attending today's training, a certificate, and also the soft copy of this ALfA English material. In the same way, tomorrow you'll get another certificate and also the ALfA numeracy materials. I'm just looking at the chat. Lots of people said yes, very much. Christina, does it grip? Raj Kumari, wonderful. Angom said, really interested and a good learning that can be utilized to our children. Sorry? Poll, okay. Okay, doesn't matter. We can skip the poll because I think everybody's already voting. So yeah, please do share the quiz link. One question though from Patrick. So this is good. One question though, as teachers, how should we associate learning through pairs/groups with helping pupils to develop their abilities to be independent without waiting for others to work with? Okay, this is really good question, Patrick. I really like the depth that you're thinking at this. So ALfA is mainly, just to respond in brief, mainly it's a paired learning methodology. So we encourage the children to work together in pairs to help each other, to ask each other questions. But there's a lot of independent learning as well. Why? There's homework, right? So for example, you'll see this in numeracy tomorrow, but supposing we work together, Milita and I are doing some addition problems together. At the end of the day, I will write some 5-6 addition questions for Milita for her to take home and solve at home. Right? So there's homework, there's independent learning there. And also even in the context of the pair, you know, maybe Milita cannot help me with this and I need to struggle with it myself. I need to struggle and figure it out myself. Maybe I'll need to take initiative and ask another pair. So definitely in ALfA, it's quite a hands-off approach in terms of the teacher. You know, as teachers, we're often rushing in. We want to say the answer. We want to help them. But sometimes the best way to help somebody is to not help them, is to let them struggle a little bit, to let them think, to let them try to problem solve in a different way. And that's how they're going to develop their creativity, their problem solving. So yeah, so it's a really good question. Thanks, Patrick. And yeah, absolutely. You need to avoid dependency. No concern does make sense. And that's what we find in the traditional class. It's very often, it's just, you know, the teacher is too quickly telling the answer. If the child doesn't know, they're telling the answer, write this answer down 10 times. But just telling the answer is not going to help, right? We need to help students to come to the answer themselves on their own. Okay, somebody's asking about the quiz. So we're posting the quiz link in the chat, and once you fill the quiz, there's one question is your email address. So then we'll be emailing you the certificate, right? So please do fill your email address carefully because we'll be emailing you the certificate and also the soft copy of the materials. Okay, so there is the quiz link. You can see there. So whenever you're ready, you're most welcome to leave us for today. Click on this link and you can fill the quiz. It's just a short, fun quiz, and then we'll be emailing you very soon. And please do join us tomorrow. You'll have a lot of fun tomorrow as well. If you enjoyed the activities today, then I think tomorrow's activities you'll enjoy even more. You know, there are a lot of fun in numeracy, and the numeracy book is also really interesting. So there is the quiz link in the chat. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your comments, all your interaction through the chat. That was really helpful for us. And I want to just acknowledge also the fact that we had such a diversity of people joining us today. Not a very huge number, you know. I'm sitting behind in front of a board saying massive open online training. Well, it was not massive for numbers today, but it was massive for quality, you know, and quality I think matters more than quantity. We had some really quality people joining us today from Malaysia, from Rwanda, from Manipur, from Kashmir, from Lucknow, from all around the world. So we are so honored to have you with us, and so honored that you are trying out ALfA in your diverse contexts. That is really, really encouraging for us. So thank you so much for that. Please do click on the link, and we will to do the quiz, and we will be seeing you again very soon tomorrow, same time for the numeracy training. So I'm going to sign off now with a very warm namaskar and salam alaikum for all of you. And we're going to show a video just to end the live stream. So you're welcome to stick around for that. But we're really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow as well.
So bye from Tina and Toto too. So see you tomorrow, same time, in the same place, and with an interesting way of learning numeracy. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.